Overall, I think Tron Legacy is better than the original Tron. Wait, am I allowed to say that? So the original Tron movie came out in 1982 and it became a cult classic. People loved it, so they decided to make a legacy sequel called Tron Legacy.
Brilliant! Why didn't I think of that?
The film starts off in 1989. That would be 7 years after the events of the first movie, where Kevin Flynn has a son now, and he's still the CEO of Incon and has his arcade, but then he goes to get milk and never appears again. Fast forward 20 years, and Kevin's son Sam, who is now the primary shareholder for Incon, goes on an undercover mission to pull off the most epic prank of all time, where he releases Incon's operating system online for free. It's just a prank, bro. And he does it because he believed his father believed in free McDonald's Wi-Fi. I mean, software. And while all of this is going down at Incom, for some reason there's a board meeting in the middle of the night, and one of the people there is played by Cillian Murphy, literally a phenomenal actor, and he has like 30 seconds of screen time. I can't believe they wasted an actor as good as this on that one tiny scene, but I mean, I guess it's better than not having him in the movie at all. You know who's also there? Alan, the guy from the first movie who was Tron in the game. So that's a nice little connection there. It's great to see him back. And after Sam escapes from the Incom headquarters after pulling off the prank, the parachute he escapes with does him dirty. He gets caught and goes to jail and then immediately is released. And then Alan gives him these keys to the old Flynn arcade. And Sam decides to investigate it because why not? He's still curious what really happened with his dad. So he goes on this computer in the arcade, and that evil computer sucker thing from the first movie does him dirty and sucks him into the grid, like father, like son. So now he's in this updated game world, where in the original movie, it was all these 80s computer graphics and weird costumes people had, and it looked very weird. But it did make sense for the story for the time, because obviously if it took place in the 80s video game would look like an 80s video game.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But here, it's updated to look more modern, and I gotta say, everything from the costumes to just the environment is phenomenal. It's straight aura.
The entire runtime of Tron Legacy is like 0% plot, 0% character development, 100% aura farming.
Similar to the first movie, this focuses more on the cool visuals as opposed to the actual story. They're both flexing how good the CGI is for the time. But I mean, I gotta say, the aesthetic is phenomenal, but the story is just kind of mid, and the character development can feel rushed from time to time, especially where characters are just changing their attitudes regarding different stuff really quick. Anyways though, as Sam enters this world, he's placed into some fighting games with these crazy shenanigans. You got frisbee throwing and motorcycle riding just like in the first movie. Of course, there's also some Star Wars X-Wing type ships later in this movie. But anyways, when Sam's in these fighting matches, the AI people pixelize when they're defeated, but he starts to bleed a little when he gets kind of hurt. And the AI people realize that he's a human. They call him a user. And they take him to their leader, Clue, the AI version of his dad that his dad actually made. And it resembles a young Jeff Bridges.
Brother, what's that?
I'm going to address the elephant in the room. When people think of this movie, they immediately think of this guy's face.
Huh?
They digitally de-aged Jeff Bridges' face, and there's no doubt in my mind that there was a lot of hard work put into this. It was probably very tedious for the VFX artists, but let's just be honest, the final result was not good. Sure, it's still impressive that they can do that using technology, but he looks like an uncanny Polar Express character that barely even blinks. I think the best solution they could have gone with would have just been to simply have him wear his mask more so that they had less shots of his face being revealed, and then they could put more work into the shots that they did have with his face exposed. I mean, in 2023, they de-aged Harrison Ford for the Indiana Jones movie, and that was just the opening sequence, and that still didn't even look that good. I mean, it looked good, it just was a little bit uncanny. And this is 2010 we're talking about, where the character is prominent throughout the movie. I guess you could say he kind of looks like a video game character, and it is a video game world, but then why do all the other characters look normal? And why did he have the weird video game looking face when he was in the real world and it was not Clue, it was actually Kevin? Everything else in this movie visually looks phenomenal, but here they were just kind of pushing their luck. Anyways, though, Sam does find his real father that's not digitally de-aged, and they team up with this one lady who rescued Sam earlier in the film from the fighting arena, and he somehow falls in love with her despite her having the worst Karen cut of all time. But I guess there weren't many other options in this movie, and it's not a real blockbuster without some forced romance. Anyways, these three characters all stop Clue and his army from following through with their plan to invade the real world, and Sam and the Karen lady do safely make it back to the real world, but Kevin sacrifices himself to save them from Clue, and he and Clue die, except he's in the new movie.
Fascinating.
And it seems like from the trailers that the game characters will in fact be invading the real world. I'm definitely excited to check it out though and see how everything plays out. Now I will say I did really like Kevin in this movie the best in terms of his character development, because first of all it was really cool how he kept saying phrases that were from the 80s because that was the last time he was in the real world.
Radical man.
And you can definitely tell he loves his son and wants to protect him. But he also realizes a lot of the problems caused in this video game world were kind of his fault because he was the one that created Clue based off of him. And he had this whole vision of achieving perfection, but didn't really realize to appreciate what they already had. And Clue just turned into this monster that was committing genocide and doing a bunch of bad stuff to achieve his goal. So that's definitely a good theme throughout the movie. And overall, I think Tron Legacy is better than the original Tron. Wait, am I allowed to say that? I just think the plot was a lot easier to follow along with and it was more interesting. And I actually felt a little bit of emotion in this movie. Not a ton, but I mean in the first movie I felt absolutely nothing. I was like, what am I even watching? And as I was saying earlier, this movie just has a very awesome, unique environment visually, and the music is actually pretty good too. It's not like one of the best scores of all time, but it is decent. With all of that being said though, we still have the huge problem regarding the digitally de-aged face. It doesn't ruin the movie, but it's so distracting and I just wish it did not look like that. And this also does have some pretty generic blockbuster elements that you would expect. It's definitely not one of the greatest movies of all time, but it is enjoyable. Overall, on the shortwave meter, it gets a 72 out of 100. If you've seen it, let me know what you think about it in the comment section down below. As always, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.
Dude had no reason to do that, but you have to respect it.